Welcome everyone to the Ordinary Council meeting for August 2023. Pursuant to Council's Code of Meeting Policy, 2 public forum sessions will be held during the Council meeting. 1 public forum session will be held following the acknowledgement of Broken Hill mining history to hear submissions from the public on matters listed for consideration at this meeting and to also hear submissions on general matters. And the other public forum session will be held prior to confidential and will consider submissions from the public on matters considered by the Council at this meeting only. All councillors undertook an oath or an affirmation at the beginning of their term of office and declared to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of the Broken Hill local government area in the city of Broken Hill, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. The council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published online via Council's website. To those present in the meeting today, by participating in the public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor or General Manager have the authority to pause the live stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory or otherwise inappropriate. For publishing, participants are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour. There are nil apologies, nil leave of absence. Call on Michael, Councillor Boland to deliver the prayer.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Gallagher.
Yes, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the land of the Winnicarli people, and pay respect to those elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Jewett.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. We take the time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919 to 1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and future.
Thank you. We move on to public forum session. The first public forum session has a duration of 15 minutes. It will consider submissions from the public regarding matters listed for consideration at this meeting and also general matters. The public have been advised through notices in the Barrier Truth Council's website to register by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address council during the public forum session. Members of the public who have registered to address council will be given preference, and then if time permits, anyone else present in the public gallery may address council. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes. We have 3 registered speakers. Adele Harrison, CWA, is there anyone from CWA here that was going? So the CWA had put in a letter of support for family daycare. Stacey Smith from Family Daycare has also registered to make comments and questions. So just so we can see how long we can give people, does anyone else want to speak? You don't have to register. You can just put your hand up if you want to speak, just so I have an idea of how long people can take. Well, we'll start with Adele Harrison. And Adele, if you could just, it's over there. If you could just over the other side, if you could just say your name when you get on to the microphone. Just.
Okay, so my name's Adele Harrison, and I am a mum here in Broken Hill, and I just was wanting to talk about the family daycare information released at last meeting. I note that you, the council, have said that they don't have capacity to successfully take up family daycare delivery, taking into account its risks as well as other things. Would council be willing to look at someone locally that can come in and assess early years services across the city as a whole? And, you know, strategies to address the current crisis. And so that we could get some kind of action happening much more quickly.
So just for you and the gallery, would you prefer me, because we can take our time if you like, would you prefer me to answer your questions as you go, or
Whatever works. for you.
whatever's easier for you, because it's pretty hard getting up there and asking the questions. So whatever you'd prefer.
I'm happy for you to answer them.
All right, I'll
Okay.
answer that one first. Look, council actually, so the Broken Hill Foundation did a in-depth study. They did leave out the family daycare. I don't know why, but what was identified was that we have one position for childcare for every 7 families that are looking for it. A desert is 1 in 3. So we're twice what the state and federal government considers a child care desert. So that report, council was very aware of how crucial childcare is in general, but through that report as well. So council was actually met with also a number of the daycare centres, as well as has stayed in touch with Cobar Shire for the last 8 or 9 months. Council with some of the daycare centre providers, what they need is the land council to help free up the land that is next to their services. That will enable them to potentially have about another 100 odd spots available between the 2 centres. That's quite difficult because it's Crown land subject to native title, so they need council's help. We've contacted Crown Lands. We've also contacted the appropriate ministers and any minister that will look at it to free up that. So every minister in the current government, as well as every minister in the previous government, has been putting pressure on Crown Lands to free up those parcels of land so that the daycare centres can expand. Council's very aware of the importance of family daycare. Family daycare have 149 children, 111 families. So if they were to go out of the market, it would cause the community of Broken Hill to be in the position where people will be forced to leave Broken Hill. So council's fully aware of that. We're aware and have been contacted by the health department, who could have 45 people return to work if there was enough daycare positions. We also are regularly contacted by the education department and also the police, who have told us what is making it almost impossible for them to fill some of those positions is a lack of daycare positions in Broken Hill. We met today with members of Family Daycare, but also with the RDA and Broken Hill Foundation, and are looking at the potential for non-for-profit to take over. The General Manager has also been in contact with a number of childcare providers that would be more than willing to look into taking over Family Daycare to run at thing, but that is not our position because it's not a service that we provide. It's the Cobar Shire. The General Manager has told the Cobar Shire Council that we have got interest ourselves from providers. The Cobar Shire more or less made it quite clear to Broken Hill Council that it's none of our business. And that's now on the record for everyone to hear. So council isn't something that council's been sitting on the hands and not been involved in.
Okay, beautiful. I think that answers all my questions.
Oh, I did see your questions in the paper, so I was asking some of the ones that you hadn't asked in the paper. So for me, not only do I want to see, and this would go to the councillors in this room as well, not only do we want to see Family Daycare survive, we want to see it grow. If it went up to 25 families, which a coordinator can do once you've been in position for 12 months, that would actually make the service very profitable and also mean that 150 other kids would have family care, and another probably an equivalent of 111 families.
Okay, yep, no, thank you for your answer.
Thank you. I'll just before I call on Stacey Smith, I'll just say some of the things that the CWA said. So the CWA goes on to say that they don't normally get involved in council matters. They more or less do their thing, but they wanted to acknowledge their support for family daycare. So I think that's quite nice. And that's for the people that are here for family daycare. Stacey? Again, Stacey, so would you like the questions to be answered as you go, or you want to?
I'll just read them all out and then you can answer them after. if
All
that's
right, so
easier.
we may miss some
Yeah.
if you think, so you can also then say again that if something has been missed.
Yep, no, I'll start. Mayor, General Manager and councillors, as some of you may not know, my name is Stacey Smith and I'm the Coordinator and Nominated Supervisor of Far West Family Daycare here in Broken Hill. I'm standing here tonight with a couple of questions regarding your last council meeting. With that being in confidential matters, we could not see or hear why council voted no to becoming the approved provider of family daycare office here in Broken Hill. Firstly, I'd like to start with some information that has been put out in the public that is misleading and incorrect. I'd like to quote that Councillor Boland has been seen quoting on Facebook that one of the issues facing family daycare is the further ratio reduction from a 1:5 to 1:4 for children below school age, along with the increased compliance and education requirements for educators. This has resulted in the industry preference towards centre-based care regardless of the needs and the needs of the families. Our correction to this statement is family daycare already operates at a 1:4 ratio and preschool age and under, and has done so since January 2014. So this is nothing new in the industry, and the government reduced the numbers back then to ensure the quality education and care was given to all children. And also to quote from council's statement themselves, council will continue to advocate and support for centre-based childcare in Broken Hill, which the industry preference is apparently trending. Where did the councillors and council gain this information, as our town is currently experiencing a childcare crisis and families are just happy to have childcare? As we are a service in Broken Hill, we work with all our local ECE services to ensure that families are finding their best option for themselves and their children. Our educators have regular compliance visits from myself, and the new regulations that are coming into force from October this year, our educators are already compliant with. Those who strive to provide already compliant with, and with those that we strive to provide families and the children that use our service with nothing but quality care in a safe home-like environment. To quote you, Tom Kennedy, you said that is not norm for councils to be operating a family daycare service, and other councils were contacted and said that they do not own them and have dissolved them. There are approximately 24 council-run FDC services in New South Wales alone. A search on the New South Wales Family Daycare website would give this information. So our inquiry is, how many of those did Broken Hill City Council contact, and which other councils did you contact regarding your statement? Also, in your article, the strong interest in family daycare on Broken Hill City Council website, it states that Cobar had a lot of interest from providers looking to take over the service, which is a far better outcome than what council is trying to run it. Can you please inform our office of these interested providers, because it is a great interest to us, as we only have had 2 contact Cobar Shire Council, but they will need to obtain approved provider status through the department. I was also quite disappointed to read in that statement that council want to see new dedicated childcare centres established in Broken Hill, when family daycare is here already, and each of my educators are qualified and dedicated to their position and have strived hard over the years to further their knowledge and undertake regular training opportunities. And at the start of this year, we went through the department's assessment rating process, to which we were awarded meeting the National Quality Framework, which stands for the service meets the National Quality Standard, and the service provides quality education and care in all 7 areas. I keep reading that council will reach out to the family daycare community and will continue to work with Cobar Shire Council regarding this matter. But up until Ron Page walked into my office over a week ago, asking to conduct a site visit, I hadn't heard from council, and neither had Cobar Shire Council, regarding any of these issues that they so speak about until Saturday evening when Tom Kennedy phoned. Back in May this year, I also sent an email to your Chief Corporate and Community Officer after our meeting regarding the proposal and the opportunity for Broken Hill City Council to apply for the Community Childcare Fund Limited Supply Grant, which supports the establishment of early childhood and education services in identified priority areas. This grant was for a two-year period for 2023-24 and 24-25, where services could receive up to $900,000 in grants. $600,000 of that was for establishment and sustainability support, and 300 of that was for capital support. Could council please confirm whether this grant was investigated further? If not, and why? That's it. Thank you.
You'll probably have to, you might as well stay there, Stace. Yeah, because you'll probably, I'll probably miss some of this. You'll go on pretty quick. So we'll start off with council's confidential. The reasons in confidential is under the Act. When you're mentioning people's wages or talking about contractual arrangements that aren't councils, remember this is Cobar Shire's financials. And one of the reasons councils get sacked is when you don't follow your regulatory requirements. I note that you spoke about Councillor Page. Councillor Page was at that meeting and did vote against it, but did not mention a word of why he should vote against it. The report come to the council. The councillor put no opposition of whatsoever to the recommendation that was put to councillors. That report was put to council. The councillors go through the report, read it. Up until that point, council was still quite aware of the fact and were keen on helping transition from the Cobar Shire Council to the Broken Hill Council. After going through, and I'm sure that everyone involved in the family daycare can see the letter that was given. You got that letter there, Shay, the second one? No, the other one. So because there is a lot of disinformation in there, and Cobar Shire has been telling people like the paper different things to what's going on. This is from the Cobar Shire Council itself. Cobar Shire Council have recently completed a commercial analysis, something that council had to do because the Cobar Shire would not provide it to this council, and determined that the current fee structure leaves the service with a deficit budget. To ensure the financial viability of the service for Cobar Shire, the family levy will need to increase substantially from the service to cost neutral. We deliver as an estimate, this fee would need to increase from $1.75 per child per hour up to $2.50. That's a significant increase. That's almost a 50% increase on the fees that Cobar Shire gave to the Broken Hill Council and told us that it was in a good financial position. Not very ethical in my belief from the Cobar Shire Council. The Cobar Shire Council, who went into the BDT, and this was also of a concern because the General Manager, the Mayor and myself and the Deputy Mayor have spoken to the Cobar Shire on numerous occasions, both in Cobar and at conferences that both councils attended. There, they told both the General Manager and the Deputy Mayor that they had numerous inquiries and said more or less not to worry, when the General Manager actually said to the Cobar Shire General Manager that they'd had interest from daycare operators in other areas of the state, and the General Manager was told by the Cobar General Manager that we more or less don't need your help. We've got numerous people. And I'll read this from the letter sent out. Cobar Shire has been canvassing potential resolution for an approved provider. Given the numerous inquiries, I'd say that's more than two, as opposed to what was written in the paper. Numerous is pretty close to lots, which is what I said. Another question that was raised was, where did I get the figures? So from the figures from the National Quality Framework Snapshot Quarterlies from the Australian Children's Education and Care Quality Authority. Within New South Wales, a similar pattern has occurred with FD family daycare has decreased by 14% during the period 2013 to 2022 period. For us here in Broken Hill, we don't want to see those numbers decrease. We want to see them go up. But that then delivers a risk to this council because we're not into operating daycare or operating childcare services at all. So it makes it very difficult for someone who of council like us to be able to take that over. And everyone want to keep in mind also that Cobar Shire has been in childcare since 2006 and had a license for 50 family daycare positions. That has the scale of economies where they're able to absorb losses from one area and transfer them to another. Council doesn't have that benefit. But it wasn't just a financial decision, it was also a decision for not only the benefit of the council and the community, but also family daycare itself. For council to go into it, any reduction in family numbers would put the service at risk, where if you have a provider that already has the infrastructure, they will be able to operate the service no matter how low the family daycare numbers go. I personally would like to see the daycare numbers, family daycare numbers grow up to the 25, and we have a commitment from RDA and also Broken Hill Foundation to be involved in that. We all know, all three groups know the importance of childcare as a whole, not just centre-based, but family care. It was also mentioned about a press release, and that was explained to Stacey earlier. And I do apologise if people read that the wrong way. It was more or less saying that council's doing all it can with family daycare, but they're also doing all they can with childcare all over the city. We've had meetings with childcare providers who are out to get extra land. There's no way that the Broken Hill community can afford to lose any childcare spots, whether family daycare or centre-based. The $900,000 grant, I might just pass over to the general manager on that one.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Yes, thank you for your email on that grant, and it was looked into, but at that point in time, it was in regards to the operating grants, and the report that was being put to council was on the basis of ongoing operation. Obviously, that's something that wasn't going to be secured long term, but we did investigate it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I'll put that in an easier term. So what that was about is because we didn't already have it, you couldn't go for the grants, but the grants were investigated.
That grant was for a startup.
Yeah, no, that's what.
Ongoing operations. Sorry, so for ongoing operations, obviously it gave you operating funds for 2 years, but this report was on the subject of council taking on this service longer term. So it's about making it viable into the future. So was investigated, but it wasn't as relevant for the ongoing operations as opposed to just setting it up.
That doesn't mean it can't happen in the future. It just means that's what happened. The other thing was Councillor Boland. Councillor Boland's comments about, and maybe were not interpreted the right way, about being 4 to 5. Council was very aware that it was in 2012 that the numbers went down from 5 to 4, which caused a 20% reduction in income. They were also very aware of the loss of funding in 2019 that further put stress on the service itself. And I do believe you actually contacted council in 2020 or members of the committee, and that might be a question for Councillor Turley in a minute. So that was where council had actually written off to the education minister in charge of childcare and said that the loss of 20%, if that could be reinstated in some form, would make it much easier for the service to retain and get new people, because there'd be an additional 20% of income. I will ask of Councillor Turley, because nothing at no stage was the council informed of the closure in 2020 of the Broken Hill family daycare operations. It never went to a council meeting, and as far as the management of the current management, that they didn't know either. So just to Councillor Turley.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I think And I'm having trouble recalling that, so I'd have to go back and look at the motion, and happy to contact Stacey and talk between the meetings about the motion at the time. So
It never made it to a council meeting.
didn't make it, no. So if it didn't come to a council meeting, I wasn't aware of it.
So did you was the mayor contacted?
At that
Previous
we're
mayor?
committee based, so it was up to the committee.
Yeah, but we weren't contacted,
You weren't
time, no.
contacted at all?
no. And I checked my appointments, I couldn't see anything there. So,
Well,
yeah.
Okay, so
I'm just curious then, one of the things you said, Mr. Mayor, is that COBA have said it's none of our business, but in last month's report, they are asking us, can you just clarify that bit?
I could clarify that quite well. So what happened was they more or less said they've been telling the family daycare people that council hasn't been in contact and hasn't spoken to them, that sort of stuff, where council has been in regular correspondence with them. The general manager, would you like to just briefly say what, or you want me to answer it? No?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So we have been in contact with Cobar Shire Council, and they're aware of the report that was being recommended and presented to council at last council meeting, so they knew where the council were basing their decision on. As for the contact between Stacey and council, that is correct, because we've been working with Cobar Shire Council as the service provider in regards to that communication and update. When we did speak to Cobar Shire Council only just a few weeks ago in Sydney, we did say that we would help transition if they needed any assistance in transitioning to another service provider. We were more than happy to do so. Council moved the motion to assist with the transition to ensure that family daycare went to a successful service provider. And the response that we did receive at that point in time was, there's been numerous inquiries. We're all good. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager.
Yes.
I'll just, one sec, Councillor Page, Stacey, anything we've missed out on the?
Not that I can think of, no.
I tried to cover it all.
Oh, what councils did you contact in regard to?
so
Yeah, with 20.
Albury,
New South Wales.
you're allowed to say these councils? Yeah, so Albury Council, Hume Council. Do you
So
wanna-
two
do you-
councils.
No, I'm going to pass on to, no, they have extensive, I'll pass on to the General Manager who conduct.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, we're just, going through some technical issues as well. So we contacted regional New South Wales councils predominantly, and the numbers that we did speak to specifically were the ones that were in the service that we're looking to exit, which was Albury. Obviously speaking to Gunnedah, they operate services and they operate for a lot of other smaller councils around the area, and the information that we're receiving at the time was that single base councils were exiting from the service, and that providers were picking up a greater radius of those areas, moving outside their council or outside the LGA boundaries to pick up that larger space to make it more cost efficient. But predominantly it was all around regional New South Wales councils.
Can you give a rough figure on how many you contacted, well, other than just?
So I'll just answer that rather than who. So what actually was said there was the fact that single councils were moving out. They'd be ones that have very small numbers because it's becoming less viable. So what happens is the bigger councils are actually incorporating them to economies of scale. So they have more family daycare educators under their service, which then allows them to divide the administration costs and share out the numbers. So what's been found is the bigger your service, whether you're a council operated one or a non-for-profit or a private, the bigger service you provide, the more financially stable you are.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he just told you the number of regional councils. Can you say how many numbers?
It's well, what's the definition of numerous? I'm not gonna say a number because if I don't get it completely correct, I'll
Can
be
you release that
hung over
media
co-
statement on how many you actually contacted?
Yeah, that's fine. You can pass it out, Jay. Look, the thing is, it doesn't matter how many you work on. What the report was based on, and I can tell you what the report's based on, and for everyone here, as the Cobar Shire Council said, the service was deemed not financially viable. We weren't told that at the time, but after we'd investigated, the Cobar Shire come out and said the exact same thing. So what then it does to the Broken Hill Council, because it's already starting from a low point and we've got no expertise in it, council then speaks to people that have expertise, and you ask 1, 2, 3 or 4 councils. You're not going to ask 100 councils and get 100 different things. What they did was give it guidance on what's happening, how they operate. So how many does Albury have? I don't know either. But the thing is, what they more or less was saying, that you need a good, stable background to operate it. And that's what's within the report. So it's not that, and as I've said to you earlier, the council is still committed to family daycare. It doesn't make any difference to us, numbers or whatever. The council is committed to making sure that a provider is found, that the service not only continues, but to grows.
That's all we all want.
Yeah, that's what we all want. And it's not just the family daycare, it's not just council, it's the whole community. Councillor Page.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd like to see all the councillors do a site inspection. Until I done the site inspection, I didn't fully understand how it operated. When you do the site inspection and you're told how it works, and it's a wonderful organisation with wonderful outcomes. And if all the councillors could take the time, do a site inspection, I'm sure we'd all get a better working relationship than we got. And I've spoken to Stacey, and what she's saying is they need a small office area. I'm sure the council could find a small office area with a peppercorn rent, and that would go a long way to making the organisation more financial than they are today. I'd like to see the group survive financially and supply the wonderful service they do. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Like to see it be financial. The rent that is currently being paid, and I shouldn't state because it's confidential, but that is not the difference between the service being financially viable and not being financially viable, Councillor Page. You've read the report. What the report shows and what the council needs to do, and the Cobar Shires has started to do, and the family daycare educators themselves are also transitioning towards it, which is making it financially viable, is to increase from $1.75 per child per hour to $2.50. That's the equivalent of about $80,000 in income, not a peppercorn rent or whatever. And council will do all it can to make sure we help the community, but it's no good offering advice that doesn't help with the overall outcome.
Mr Mayor, I did not make a statement that it would make them financial. I said it'd help. And that's what it's all about, helping this organisation be financial. That is a saving, along with Stacey's got other savings. It's all about, let's all rally together and work together. This saying this, saying that, it's not the way for the
Page,
future.
don't say no one's working together. First time I've heard you talk about childcare since we've been
together. I said we need to work together.
When you
Don't change my wording. We've listened to you talk for so long.
Yes, point of
Let
order.
me have
You're out
my
of order,
say.
Councillor Page.
Yeah,
when the
you
mayor
talk and
talks, you
talk,
know you
and
need to
don't
stop.
let me talk.
Well, no, well, that's the councillor Page should be, there's rules. Look, this is a council meeting. The gallery is not meant to yell out either. So there's been a point of order called. You're out of order, Councillor Page. Do you not understand as well? The councillors, the gallery has this thing. You're out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. Look, the meeting. No, look, there's rules in this chamber, and it doesn't allow the gallery. No, you go up to the thing. You don't sit. Look, the meeting will be closed.
I'm saying
There is also rules about code of conduct. You are yelling.
No,
There is a lot of children
listen.
and I'm asking you
You-
to calm down.
Listen,
I'm asking you to calm down. Is that a
the
bad thing?
chair has right of way over all of it. The council is to stop when the chair's speaking, and so are you.
Would you use your right of way to speak, not yelling?
This is just a little bit ridiculous. The council was here to help, and you're interfering in the running of a council meeting.
Well, all she's doing, mate, is just showing that these kids have more respect for other people and don't talk over other people. All right, same that you should do with your council members.
Right, now, just for everyone that understands, and councillor Page should know this as well, these are the rules. The moment that the mayor or the chair speaks, the councillors to stop speaking. So the person who was over speaking who is the general manager, is the councillor Page. There was a point of order called by councillor Bob Allgate for councillor Page. Councillor Page continued to talk. He's out of order and can be asked to leave the chamber for doing it. He should actually be apologising for doing it. They're the rules of local government. We all follow the rules. Councillor Page doesn't get to follow the rules only when he wants or grandstand to the community. Councillor Page, you're out of order. You were talking when you know the rules when it comes to the chair, Councillor Page. When the mayor speaks, you're to stop. You know that. Yeah, is it the rules? No, it doesn't, councillor Page, and it'll be provided to the next council meeting. It will be provided to the next council meeting. I'm speaking again, and you're talking over the top. You're not allowed to do it. You wait, and you know that.
Mr. Mayor, it's a point of order again. It's just out of hand.
Yeah, this is what, how many councils has it happened before? You'd like to speak?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So I have specific questions. One is to Daria Turley, because I emailed all of the councillors asking what their votes was and why it was confidential. The only person to respond was Daria, and she said she doesn't know why it was confidential. So if it's common knowledge that financial matters are confidential, why did you say that to me?
Sorry. About who voted where. That was my.
I asked each council what your personal vote was and what your reasons were, and I asked why was the voting confidential? If it's common knowledge that it's confidential because it was financial, why didn't you say that?
Look, I'm sorry about that.
Because I then replied to that email saying, what was your specific vote, Daria? And I got no response.
No.
And I got no response from anyone.
I'll talk to you about that after.
Why not now?
Well, sorry, just at that time I was having my second throat surgery operation this month. So I was kind of not as focused as I should have been.
Oh, I have a lot going on too, but I still tried to only reply.
So I
with
apologise for
factual
that.
information. My second question is to Michael Boland. You messaged me saying that you were actively seeking funding from state and federal government. You didn't say what that funding would achieve, like would Broken Hill Council consider taking us on if there was funding secured? And I'd just like to know what you've done so far.
Thank you for your question. We're always fighting for funding this council, whether or not it's for a private provider or an NGO to run family daycare. And certainly what was mentioned in the Facebook comments, I corrected myself on them, and it was the 2012. I was going on briefing papers and missed the 2012. And I also said that I 100% support choice, and the choice needs to be in the hands of where the family wants their children cared for. The way of funding, this council always lobbies state government for funding. We're lobbying for freeing up of land, Crown land, to build further childcare centres on, and any funding that's available to support family daycare, whether or not that's an NGO, whether or not that stays with Cobar Shire Council or another organisation, it doesn't matter. Council will make sure we support any application for funding. And I just want to say again, as I said, I support choice. Choice needs to be the number one key for families. Families need to have choice, whether or not they want family daycare or they want centre care. The research I got was from the research the Mayor mentioned earlier. And ultimately, childcare is an issue of the state and federal government. We are in a childcare drought out here. And quite frankly, they need to get the other side of the Blue Mountains, because I don't want to see us sitting in this room as Broken Hill citizens fighting each other over childcare, family daycare, when ultimately this is a state and federal issue and they need to get their bums out to Broken Hill and sort it out. And as the Mayor has said several times, we are here to support family daycare. We are behind family daycare, and we will fight to the bitter end to make sure family daycare does not disappear, because it will affect the whole community. And I'm quite upset that we've got community members and elected officials arguing in a chamber when we should be supporting each other and fighting the state and federal government to get what this town needs, which is more daycare and more choices for the families of this town.
Okay, so I actually asked, what have you personally done over the last month?
Look-
Who have you reached out to?
Look, the council reaches out, not the individual councillors, but we've gone on 30 minutes after, 25 minutes over. So you can have another question, but you can have questions at the
Okay,
end of
so
the
the
meeting.
councillor, to all of the councillors, do you think it's appropriate that Tom Kennedy puts his personal opinions on Facebook, trashing Ron Page for supporting family daycare? If you are going to, hello, Alec, it seems like if you have one councillor who's supporting us and a paper who is willing to run our story, and then Tom Kennedy spends his night times trashing it on Facebook.
I'll answer
I'm
that.
still
So
speaking.
no,
Oh,
I'll
I'm still
answer that.
speaking.
No, because I'm answering it. You're not coming here hijacking the meeting.
Okay.
For starters, if council doesn't support it, the family daycare will struggle a lot more than what they are struggling now. So when you start having a go at the council, just remember that the council has been in contact with Cobar Shire Council, doing all they can. So if you're going to start criticising the council and make it so that it's them versus us, it's not going to come out very good.
I'm not criticising the
You
council.
are doing that.
I'm
And what
criticising
you've come in
you
here is you've come
asking
in
the
here and you're
council.
talking about my right as an individual to put whatever I like as the mayor or an individual on Facebook. You're also saying there's only one councillor here working for family daycare. If that's the case, how do you think that the council can help family daycare at all?
I said that there is one who has reached out publicly, and the one that has reached out publicly has then been put down by you.
The councillor
Is-
you're
is-
talking about that went out publicly and went into the media and caused all sorts of chaos did not say a word at the meeting where this was discussed, not a single word
That's
in
because-
opposition.
That's because he came to the offices after the meeting and then decided he supported us.
He decided after, so he didn't know anything about this beforehand.
You said yourself that council doesn't have the expertise and knowledge. No, he
been-
didn't know anything about it beforehand.
I was first informed about this in Cobar last year when Peter come to me and said about it, when I got straight onto the general manager to follow this up. This has been followed up by the Broken Hill City Council for 12 months.
Yeah, and I said that publicly, Ron Page came out and said that he supported us, and so did the Barrier Truth. So then you were running them down on Facebook saying that he's just doing it for his own interests.
Because the councillor Page deliberately, what was councillor's Page thing? If Cobar can run it, why can't Broken Hill City Council run it? The report made it quite clear that Cobar Shire Council had been in the childcare provider since 2006. They also had 50 family daycare positions as opposed to council has none. So when you go to the Barrier Daily Truth to argue, to try and cause this division, and don't worry, this is what Councillor Page went to the paper for, was to cause this exact division that's in here tonight. When, without a doubt, the council has been doing a lot to progress this, and had a meeting earlier tonight with people. So if council doesn't, so you just to be clear here, does family daycare want council to continue advocating to help with family daycare?
I'd like to know what advocating you're doing. That's all that I asked was what was he
Would you like
specifically
council to
doing?
continue or not?
I don't know.
It's easy to
yes?
say no.
That's a yes, sorry.
That
That's a yes.
no is quite
Okay,
easy.
Valerie.
Well, that's the thing. You've got to remember we're people as well. When people are working hard to do stuff. What was the threat?
No, I said, would you like us to continue to go for support or not?
Unacceptable. Righto. I
Okay.
think we know the
Does
answer.
anyone
then.
else have questions? Yeah, what would you
I think we know the answer.
like? You. I don't know if I can like. oh, here we go.
End of the public
Here
forum.
we go.
No,
One more.
no, I'm not putting up with being attacked by people. No,
Very
it's it.
diplomatic, sir. Just
No.
very quickly, Mr.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we extend the time like
No,
we've done
it's
over
been
the last
extended. It's
20
over.
years.
It's over. It's over. It's a laughing matter, real funny. The daycare and the childcare of this city is a really laughing matter. You
I
just
was laughing at the
alienated your
children
own city council, real good.
That were running past, that were making comments. I was laughing at them. I wasn't laughing at the
Real
matter.
good, real good.
Okay, what do we do?
Minutes for confirmation in the ordinary council meeting. Do we have a mover for that?
I'll move that way, Mayor Kennedy, but I would like to speak on item 31 if I could.
Yes, thank you.
So item 31 was Broken Hill City Council Report number 146/23 dated July 18, 2023, sale of lots 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 in DP 1102740, better known as the Excelsior Oval. The report considers the sale of the land and is deemed confidential under section 10A2C of the Local Government Act 1993, which provides for information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the council is conducting for purposes to conduct business. That was moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Allgate. Councillor Page, on his request, asked that this be deferred in a confidential matter until the next general meeting and a decision to be made tonight, which is the next general meeting. However, Councillor Page then made a decision to go to the Barrier of Truth on the 9th of August and advise of a plan to build 95 unit social housing complex. And then on the Barrier of Truth 23/8, he announced that his team had been working on this plan for 2 years and identified the Excelsior Oval as the ideal place for social housing development. Why had Councillor Page not declared his conflict of interest and pecuniary interest from the very start of council's term? And he has never excluded himself from any land decisions making in this council since I've been here. I would be very surprised if Councillor Page, if the lessee doesn't commence legal action against you, and this is the same type of non-disclosure that saw Eddie Obeid get 5 years jail, and the latest minister, Krakenthorpe, forced to resign his ministry and has been referred to the anti-corruption watchdog. So why was it released, Councillor Page?
Can we have a mover for those minutes? Seconded,
Second.
Councillor Jewett, all in favour? Carried unanimously. There is a Merrill minute in confidential of the Merrill minutes to do with the
Sorry,
general
Mr. Mayor,
managers.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I think we haven't had our declarations.
Oh,
of
sorry.
pecuniary interest yet.
Any disclosures of interest?
Mr. Mayor, I have one disclosure in report number 151, /23, relating to, it's a non-pecuniary conflict of interest, and I'll leave the chamber as I'm president of Local Government New South Wales.
No worries. Any other pecuniary interests, conflicts of interest?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I've got a conflict of interest in confidential matters, Merrill minute number 14/23, General Manager's performance review, pecuniary interests, given it's my performance review, and I'll be leaving the chamber. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, General Manager. I will move a verbal Merrill minute. A verbal Merrill minute about correspondence received from Greg Donovan of the Monday batch to send correspondence to the local member, the minister, appropriate minister, and the Premier, Chris Minns, asking that the road between Umbarumbika and the Mundi Bash, known as Willingee Road, be sealed. We have a seconder for that.
Second. that.
Seconded, Deputy Mayor Hickey. It was acknowledged at the Mundi Bash, the importance of making that an all-weather sealed road for the future of the Mundi Bash. Without that, if there is big rain out there, it could result in the service actually losing or not operating for that time, which then could put the entire event in jeopardy. It was mentioned by Chris Minns on his Facebook page how good the event was. If we can help the organisers and Greg Donovan have that sealed, it would be of a great benefit to not only Broken Hill, but the region and the organisers. Speakers.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. The Minister for Arts and Roads was on radio this morning confirming that he agrees totally that should be sealed. I think that's a pretty fair way to getting it towards the Minister's concern. Thank you.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have nil notices of motion, nil rescission motion, nil reports from delegates. We move on to item number 14, the Works Committee. Item number 1, minutes of the project consultative group project steering group meeting. We have a mover for that.
Move the recommendation. as
Move
written.
Councillor Allgate. Seconded,
Second that.
Councillor Hickey. Councillor Allgate.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. As I said at the standing committee, I think this report is a great report. Not only does it give the councillors an indication of what's actually happening on the ground outside in terms of projects, but it also, for people who see the report, they will understand what's happening as well, how their money is being expended, where it's being expended and at what stage most things are. It's a really informative report and it would be good to see more of these reports.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. As chair of the consultative group meetings, I'm pretty proud of the way this all came out actually, because it's a very informative report. There's the temporary library and car parks was reported by Rebecca McLaughlin, the new library construction by Azad. Then there's the CBD redevelopment, which the community consultancy went well down there. They had 3 different designs, which they plucked, all the popular parts out of each one, which I think is great. The wayfinding project's underway and just about finished, I think. Finished in October. And the airport master plan, which the draft went ahead in June and that'll be finalised in September 23. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. All those in favour? Carries unanimously. Item B, Health and Building. Item number 1, minutes of the Friends and Fauna of the Barrier Ranges. We have a mover for that. Move Councillor Brown, seconded Councillor Hurley. Councillor Brown, you'd like to speak to that? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is minutes of the Friends and Flora Barrier Community Ranges August meeting. We have a mover for that. Councillor Brown, seconded Councillor Turley. Councillor Brown, you'd like to speak to that? No. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We move on to C, policy in general. Item number 1, Councillor Turley. We have a mover for that.
Yeah, move that way.
Move Councillor Hickey, seconded.
I'll second that way.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Hickey.
Yes, Mayor Kennedy, I'd like to move it as written, but added an additional 4, number 4, to write the local Broken Hill City Council, write to the local members, the appropriate ministers and shadow ministers, setting out the importance of the club's grants remaining in our local communities.
That doesn't matter. Do you want to declare an interest in that?
I'll
Councillor?
declare a pecuniary interest in that and leave the
Alright.
chamber.
No worries. Was in the report anyway.
Sorry, councillor Boland.
Seconder for that,
Yeah, I'll second that way.
councillor
So it's a
Gallagher,
second.
councillor Hickey.
Look, it's one of those things that these, they're trying to put into a big slush fund in Sydney, which the bush will get nothing. All of our sporting clubs in this town and a lot of other things depend on these clubs' grants. You know, I know that the North Footy Club got 15,000, South Footy Club got 15,000 just from the musos this year. And the demo club supported the other two footy clubs, our netball teams, all those things happen. And it's most important that these stay in our own communities.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Yes, Mr Mayor, thanks very much for that,
Councillor
the
Gallagher.
opportunity. The situation is I echo the comments of the Deputy Mayor. This was also mentioned at the Western Division Conference and got unanimously over the 9 councils at that area. And just echoing on a bit further, it's not just the sporting groups that benefit from these club grants. We have GPs in our city because of these club grants. We have a lot of other facilities in there because of these club grants. Too far as too much and too soon as going to Sydney, going to the metropolitan area where they make the decision where these grants go. It should be kept local, spent local and bought local. These club grants come from our money, which we put into our clubs, our registered clubs in this area. So I cannot compliment and recommend this motion go as high as it can and perhaps bring it up to the General Assembly of Councils at a later stage.
For sure. Councillor Brown.
Yes, just a question. I wasn't aware that there's a proposal to take all of the local communities' right to have a local club grants program. I know that some years ago there was a fair amount of unhappiness at that club grants were classified in different levels, and I know that the highest levels, the largest amounts, were distributed to the larger metropolitan areas. And I wasn't aware that there's a proposal to take away all club grants from local communities. Is there some change, or is this just
There is some-
continuation
It's
of?
it's only a new thing, councillor Brown. It's a discussion. Councillor Gallagher, you'd like to speak about it?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. for the
Answer councillor Brown's
Yep.
question on that.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's the, I'm not getting into political realm here, but it's the present government has made a decision that or trying to make the decision that a board make the decision that goes into state revenue, and they make the decision where the money goes, not like it is locally now. Each local area has the opportunity to distribute their local grants. It goes into state revenue.
We can get clarification on that for you if you like, councillor Brown.
Yes, please.
No worries. All
And-
those in favour? Oh, sorry,
another
hang on.
question.
Yep.
Another question too, through you, actually, to councillor Gallagher. I assume that these motions will be sent from the Western Division to separately, so that there'll be, it'll be all of those motions that were all carried unanimously at that the Western Division conference will also be sent on behalf of the Western Division. I assume that that'll be done. Is that going to be done?
I think it's already in the paperwork tonight that the motions were all passed unanimously and passed on. They are going to go straight towards the this in Sydney when you have your local government conference. When the local government conference is going on in Sydney, those will all go to local government conference.
Thank you, councillors. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Just wait for the other councillors. The motion was passed with the addition of what was passed at the Western Division Conference about the club's grants. It has been passed also.
And
via the
Mr
Broken
Mayor,
Hill
that was
Council.
non-pecuniary interest. I said pecuniary
Yeah.
on the way out the door.
No worries, not in pecuniary interest. Item number 2 is council's meeting arrangements, Christmas shutdown. We have a mover for that. Councillor Chandler, seconded. Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Chandler. Like to speak to that?
Yeah, this gives us an extra 2 meetings a year. Before this council was elected, we're missing the meeting in December and early January. So this gives us an extra 2 meetings and it's a lot better set up.
Thank you, councillor Chandler.
A point of clarification there, we didn't miss December meeting. We haven't got,
We didn't miss a December meeting.
miss a December meeting. Sometimes we didn't have a scheduled January meeting, but often there was an extraordinary meeting in January. So no, that's just not true.
I think what they were saying is there used to be an early December meeting and then not a meeting until February. Councillor Chandler. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. And number 3 is the operational plan outcomes, final key performance indicators. Do we have a mover for that?
Move the
Councillor
recommendation.
Allgate, seconded.
Second.
Councillor Hickey, Councillor Allgate.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Another good report, as far as I'm concerned. It displays the fact that of 192 actions or progress targets, 167 were completed with that's 87% of the entire program, 25 off track, and some of those are in the process of midway started and whatever. But I think it's an indication that when the 87% of the key performance indicators are being met, that's a damn good result, given what's happening in terms of COVID and all the rest of it. That's put supply and supply of materials in particular just beyond most people's reach.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Look, all indicators are moving in the right direction, which is great for council and for our town, for our city. We still got a lot of work to do, but at least it's all going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Item number 4 is Disability Inclusion Action Plan, Key Performance Indicators, Progress Report.
I'll move that way as written.
Councillor Boland, seconded.
Second that way.
Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. This is an extremely important report for our community. It's good to see that not too many, I think it was 8 are off track. And having a look through that, most of them are underway. But this is an important report for our community. We wanted to want to include everyone, and reading through it, I was particularly happy to see the event, some century zones for our events of the Christmas pageant and New Year's Eve celebrations. So that's great that everybody in the community can enjoy them, and some other lowering of counters, etc. So it's good to see that council is very proactive in looking after people with disabilities in our community, and I'm sure the rest of those 8 items will be on track very shortly.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Any other councillors? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Move on to item 5, Community Satisfaction Service. Councillor Allgate.
Move that recommendation.
Second.
Move the recommendation again.
Councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Again, this is a pleasing report. Community satisfaction as a result of the the last 12 months. The final analysis indicates that there's increased confidence in the council during the past 12 months. There are still areas that require attention, and obviously the one that always comes out that doesn't seem to receive the attention that it should, but I understand it's high on the general manager's priority list for the coming period, and that is problems along the roads, dead trees and weeds on footpaths. Historically, that's been a problem, been the number one complaint of all residents that participate, and that really is something that the council's got to address. And from what I understand, in terms of the general manager's performance targets for the ensuing year, that's one of those that are high on the priority list. So things should happen.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 6 is the adoption of the draft asset naming policy. We have a mover for that. Councillor Chandler, seconded Councillor Brown. Councillor Chandler. Oh, sorry, Councillor Turley. I did it again. Sorry. Councillor Chandler.
I think this is well done, and it's just bringing us up in the society, really. It's sort of everything's changing. We're just coming up with the times.
For sure. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 7 is the Public Art Audit Condition Report Conservation Plans. Mover.
I move that way.
Councillor
Recommendation is written.
Boland, seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Allgate, Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I'm a big fan of public art. It makes the city come alive. But part of public art is obviously it needs to be audited and looked after. So we're heading in the right direction. We'll have a look. If we've got some fat in the budget is probably the colloquial term to use, but look at what we've got to do with the rating 3 and 4 to make sure future generations, visitors and the current community can enjoy this public art, because as I said, public art's very important, makes your city come alive. It's good to go around and have a look at, and we've got quite a lot of items, so much so that the report wouldn't even fit on our normal council documents. It's got to be downloaded separately. So very in-depth report coming out of the University of Melbourne.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Any other councillors? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 8 is the investment report for July 23. Mover.
I'll move that way.
Councillor Boland, seconded.
Second that way.
Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Sorry, I was just looking at some of our artwork from the last item. The report looks good. Again, I think the Director of Finance must be on holidays this month, so I can't thank him for a good report, but it's looking good. The investments, the cash investment, the interest rates looking good. And of note, the headline inflation was lower than expected today, came in at 4.9, but next month it may be back up again as fuel prices have risen 10% on top of the electricity this month. But our investments looking good with plenty of money in cash, and hopefully the interest rates will stay on hold for everyone next week.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 9 is the event sponsorship. Mover for that. Councillor
Can I-
Hickey, seconded.
Mayor Kennedy, can I move 9, 10 and 11 all together?
Is there any
Sponsorships.
objection from people for 9, 10 and 11? Seconded, Councillor Turley. Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy.
Just for the gallery and those at home. So it's to do with sponsorship for the Broken Hill Junior Soccer Association, 5,000 in cash, $2,000 in kind. Also an MOU with the St. Patrick's Race Club for 10,000 per annum. And also a council authorised include 10,000 MOU and in kind 3,000 to the Hill Festival. Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Look, these are all important sponsorships. There's a lot of teams coming to Broken Hill this weekend. The town's booked out again for the weekend, which is great with the soccer. The St. Patrick's Race Club, well, that's one of it was our biggest, and I think the Monday's now overtaken that, but it's still a major sponsorship to that. St. Pat's is on every year, and a lot of people come back for reunions on that weekend, which is great. So I think council must support that. The Broken Hill Festival, again, another hugely popular thing and spread Australia wide now that people recognise Broken Hill for it, and that's good. So we need to do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Turley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I second this because all 3 events are so important to the city, in particular the soccer, not only supporting our Junior Soccer Association, but attracting visitors, and we can only imagine, well, we know the data of how many we'll have attracted or attending Broken Hill. Can I say St. Pat's I don't think there's a year I've missed. If I've put it on Facebook that I haven't been there. But I can also say the Broken Hill Festival, which is bigger than St. Pat's, is an international event. We get visitors from overseas. So they're great events for us to support. And, I think council should support this.
Thank you, councillor Turley.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
We've got this company, what's it called now? Calling that?
Payment.
Spend Map.
Yeah.
Spend Map, which traces how much money is spent in the district locally and credit cards and everything like that. And it's a great way to follow up what your sponsorship is actually bringing into your community. I think that's a great initiative to, gives us all an answer so that we're not just wasting money and thinking we're doing the right thing. At least this way we can follow it up.
I think that was one of the benefits, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
I think
go,
that was one of the
councillor Turley.
benefits of the reports we used to get from our former, what was Anne's position? We used to get those reports about any of our events and about the local spend in Broken Hill, building confidence, investing in small business and creating jobs.
I think the general manager is going to give a presentation on it at some stage. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Minutes of the Youth Advisory Committee held.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Jewett,
1
seconded.
through 3.
Councillor Turley, councillor Jewett.
I'd like to move 1 through 3 and add 4 if I can.
Yep.
I just think with like number 3, supporting the invitation to students, board officers is great. I think if we just go to the minutes, I didn't write this down. 6.6, I think we could also invite representatives from the service providers like Mission Australia, PCYC. If we're inviting people, maybe just make it more broad, the more the merrier. It's a fantastic committee.
Yeah. Happy with that, councillor Turley?
If you're happy to
second
that.
Yeah, no, happy
and
to
get that
second
moving. Yeah.
Because we already have representation from other organisations, including the YMCA. So and I think for the Youth Advisory Committee, the greater service providers involved will certainly make it stronger in the development of our strategic plans.
And that's where I was going. Yeah.
Councillor Jewett. Any other? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We move on to further reports. Item 15. Item 1. Councillor Brown, would you like to move the Traffic Committee meetings?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I couldn't actually attend that meeting because I was at the Western Division Conference in Cobar, but all of the recommendations relate to matters that have been discussed over many months in some cases, I think, and I understand that it was a good meeting and they did resolve a lot of these issues. People are wondering about the KFC issue there. The first, I haven't got it in front of me. The recommendation about the KFC problem, it really related to a traffic buildup
At the roundabout?
At the roundabout when the walk-in service was closed, and traffic piled up because it really probably wasn't particularly well planned originally.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a lot of difficulty contacting the owners. Not so much the local managers to get some action there. So it has taken a long time to resolve. But I think now that they have walk-in service, I think it's resolved itself pretty much. And there have been some changes proposed to keep the traffic off that intersection there. So I think that is a good result. It'll be a lot safer. And some of the other recommendations there are just finalising some of these other issues that have been around for a little while. So I'm
Rumour
happy to move
Lodge,
it.
councillor Brown. Rumour Lodge, what was?
That was from someone from the hospital. I think one of the drivers who transports people to and from Aruma Lodge. I think I'm not sure why it wasn't resolved at the meeting, but I think there was a complaint that drivers were whether it was staff members or members of the public were using that, so they couldn't actually load and unload, for want of a better term, their clients from their vehicles there. There wasn't enough room for the entry and the exit there. So obviously there's still some observation of that particular problem.
Thank you, councillor Brown. Councillor Turley.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a question. I was down in Argent Street today and the hotel in front in the middle of Argent Street, is it the Royal Exchange or the old?
Yes.
Theatre Royal. They have a disability parking and it's on the ground that it's disability, but there's no posting. So if you're travelling down Argent Street, you can't see that that's a disability parking. I wonder if councillor Brown could follow that up with the traffic committee.
Thank you. Any other speakers on that matter? No. All those in favour, councillor Gallagher?
Just one question. I was going to leave it to questions on notice. I've been approached by a business owner in Argent Street, but they back onto Argent Lane alongside the Palace Hotel. If we could put a no entry sign near the Palace Hotel after we have these traffic congestion, and one-way sign, because people are going up and down. It's very hard for the businesses to pull out. That's from the, there's a couple of businesses there. Chanella's is one,
Is this for
Formula
the
One.
future,
For
councillor?
the future, if they could have a look at it at the next council meeting. I know
Yeah.
it might be the appropriate time, but if we could have a look at it there, it'd alleviate with just a no entry on one entry. one
Councillor
side
Brown,
there,
are you
that's
happy
all.
to just take that along to the traffic committee?
Yes, certainly I'll
Yeah.
speak to councillor Gallagher and get the
Yeah.
details of that.
Thank you.
Can I just add to that, please,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor? Also businesses along that Crystal Lane, it's Crystal Lane, between Sulphide and Bromide had said that the loading zone, the no parking or the no stopping signs are faded and you actually can't see them, and there's been issues with some fines being issued, but signs are difficult to be able to see.
No worries. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We move on to further reports, item number 2.
Mayor, can I, I'm not sure if I'm in the right spot.
Yep.
To move to bring a number 1 confidential matter into open
Discuss
discussion.
openly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this right?
Yeah, I'll deal with these further
Okay,
reports
okay.
first, and then you can move to make it discussed in open council if you like. Councillor Gully, you happy to move the?
Sorry about that, Mayor. I'm happy to move the action list.
Yep.
Look, fair bit of amber, but it's a lot of greens looking good.
Very good to see. So we move on to, we'll deal with that matter. You'd like to move that item number 1, which is a deal with the Excelsior Oval development to be discussed in open council meeting. Can we have a seconder for that? Second on the councillor Allgate. All those in favour to bring that out to open discussion? Carried. Councillor Turley and Brown, you happy with that? Yep. Carried unanimously. We'll deal with that after item number 17, before the public question time. Questions taken on notice from the previous council meeting. Do we have a mover for that? Move councillor Gallagher, seconded. Councillor Allgate, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Allgate, like to speak to that?
No, I'd just like to say that it'll be interesting to see the Shorty O'Neill Village report. Very interesting, I think.
Yeah, I do agree. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Question 17, which is questions for the next council meeting arising.
Yes, Mayor Kennedy, again, I'm not sure if I'm in the right spot here, but I've got a question for. All right. Yeah, I'll leave that.
Yeah.
Mr.
Any
Mayor, I
other
have-
questions without notice?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One that was raised at the Heritage Advisory Committee yesterday. And can we have an update from the general manager on the, no, I'm just trying to find it. Can the GM organise, no, can we, the police station heritage management plan, we haven't received a plan for the management of the police, the old police station. The issue for the Heritage Committee is that the longer the building's left vacant, the deterioration of the building, and by law, they're supposed to provide that management plan. Now, there's been some discussion for some time, but the committee's very concerned that if it's not done, very quickly, that the building will deteriorate. Can we get an update at that for the next, as our question on notice?
Yeah, you go.
And my second question, Mr. Mayor.
Might answer it now, councillor Turley.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, certainly we are following that up. I just thought it's good for clarity as well, so there's no misconceptions. The previous police building still hasn't been handed over to control of council. It's still waiting release from police to Crown Land so that they can assign a new Crown Land manager. So we'll make sure that we have those conservation plans, and it's in a condition that council is satisfied before taking it on, but we're still waiting for the police to actually relinquish control. They're still moving out of the site as well, just because we do get asked that quite often. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
And it's actually up to the police to provide that plan before they relinquish it. So, and the second one is perhaps, Mr. Mayor, in good faith, that the general manager organise a site inspection at family daycare so the councillors can be updated on the current status of family daycare.
Yes, I'm sure the general manager arranged that.
Thank you.
That takes 17. Any other questions? No, we move on to the confidential report that is brought forward. That is Broken Hill Council report number dated August 2023, sale of lots 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in DP 11027440. For people that don't understand, that is the Excelsior Oval site that is has been leased. Before we talk about this, I would like to put this on the agenda in the minutes because I think it's really important. I believe that Councillor Page has a pecuniary interest in this matter. I'm doing this to protect myself. Councillor Page went into the BDT. This is a quote, Councillor Page and his team identified the Excelsior Oval as their preferred land. The councillor says his property development plan would better serve the community than I assume, than the people that are leasing it. So it's a property development. His team is not wasting time to find land. The rug was pulled out from under him by the council when they negotiated with the current leaseholders. So if I could have that recorded, thank you, because I believe that at some stage this is going to be a real issue for council. I also, council, that's it. Oh, actually, before we go on, Councillor Page, and just for the BDT and the community listening at home, council hasn't made a decision on this matter. It's before this council meeting, as it was deferred last council meeting by this council when Councillor Page said he was going to give us a detailed report or plan for an alternative option, which we haven't received. He also was going to provide us with legal advice of how to get out of the lease agreement, which also hasn't occurred. So do you have those for this meeting, Councillor Page?
In regard to this issue, I take it very personal what you're trying to do. No, you want me to talk? Let me talk. Your conduct here tonight's been very disappointing in regard to these poor people sitting in the gallery. Now you're trying to crucify me with misinformation, and I don't take a liking to that. Your conduct tonight leaves a lot to be desired. And the fact that now you're trying to crucify me, a bit of history, if you look back at the past, I started a aged care crisis committee, and we now have some of the best aged care in Broken Hill. And my intent was, you're not the chair of the meeting. What's your point of order?
That was the question that the mayor asked of you. Did you have a pecuniary interest?
No, I asked him, did he have a report that he's going to provide us?
You're breaking the code of meeting practice here, and it's time, Mr. Hickey, Deputy Mayor, you read the Local Government Act. Every meeting, you conduct yourself in an unprofessional manner.
If it Page, you'll be ruled out of order and be leaving the meeting.
Well, I'll be happy because your conduct in regard to this issue is not acceptable. My
Councillor,
intent
Point of
has
order.
been,
Point of order. Councillor
point.
Page, just answer the question that the Mayor asked you and then either leave the chambers or we'll have to have a vote.
I am trying to answer, but you're trying to restrict me for giving an answer.
We answer the question. You started talking about family daycare when you've been asked a question about the Excelsior Oval, councillor Page.
I'm saying a bit of the history in regard to what my intent was to get some social housing built in Broken Hill. And I've got a lot of detail here on who needs a social housing. And I've been working with, I'll just name some of the people, the Salvation Army.
Is this your development though, councillor Page?
It's not a development of mine. It's about doing the best and what is the best outcome for the ratepayers and Broken Hill. You're trying to turn it into a witch hunt against me.
You in the paper and said, and quote, the councillor says his property development plan would better serve the community, his property development plan.
That was a misprint. And apparently your conduct in regard to attacking the Barry Daily Truth and myself, you're breaking your code in regard to, once we leave this chamber,
Councillor Page,
you've got no right to.
Councillor Page, did you tell the BDT that the decision had already been made?
No, I can't recall saying that.
Did you tell the Barry Daily Truth that your team was wasting no time finding land? So you're using your position as councillor to find land and then put pressure on the council to free up land that was already being leased out to people.
It's nothing in regard to putting pressure. You are being very determined to try and crucify me. I have good intent and always have for the people of Broken Hill. And I'll repeat it again. The sale of that property is not in the best interest of the ratepayers and Broken Hill. You can turn this into your grey area if you like, but it's not going to suit you.
I don't think it's going to be very grey, councillor Page. I really don't think it's going to be very grey at all. I think you have a pecuniary interest. I think you're part of a development that's trying to put influence on the council to take it away from one group of people and give it to you. I think that's exactly what you're doing, and that's why I've put it in the
Your
minutes.
conduct tonight is very, I'll try and phrase my words, is very un-mayoral-like, and the statements you're making now are only your opinions. And
Well, I'm sure we can find out from other people's whose opinion they are.
you ask around Broken Hill. I've
Well,
always had good intent.
Well, we'll see what
you're
the pecuniary
proposing for the
interest
sale
tribunal
of this
has to
land,
say about it.
what you're proposing
Councillor
for the
Hickey,
sale
you
of
wish to
land
move
is
something?
Yes, McKenna, I agree with you, and I feel uncomfortable with councillor Page being in here. Well, I've fought at meetings everywhere, and councillor Turley would admit that I've pushed motions to try and keep in real estate agents and developers on councils. But you have now come out and proved me to be an idiot, because you're the first council, our own council, and you stand there and you're a developer. You say you've named your team as a development, and
Councillor,
point of order.
your point of order, councillor Page. Your point of order, councillor Page.
The what?
Your point of order, councillor
Is
Page.
that he is misleading the meeting.
No.
Yes,
no,
he
it's
is.
not
That's
out of
my
order,
point of
councillor.
order.
Yeah, and I overruled your point of
Okay.
order. Councillor Hickey, continue.
so councillor Page, I fought hard to keep these people in the council. You've just made an absolute fool of me, as I said. And I don't feel comfortable. You do have a pecuniary interest for sure. So
You want to move?
I'd like to move a motion that you
No, I mean the motion for the thing.
for the sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
And give your reasons and all that because it's now open.
Yeah.
Councillor Turley. So you can discuss everything within the report. The report at some stage will be a redacted version. Council is entitled to, remember, this is something that was brought up by Councillor Page, went to the media. It now becomes a public interest matter. Very important. There's rent collected on the property, and I've heard Councillor Page say peppercorn rent. The rent's near $50,000 a year, so I hardly think that's a peppercorn rent. I'd hate to see the organisation that pays a peppercorn rent of $50,000 per year. Continue, councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. So the Broken Hill City Council report number 164/23 dated August 21, 23, the sale of lot 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 in DP 1102740. Recommendation, the Broken Hill City Council report number that be August the 10th, 23 be received. The council purchased the plant. Whoops, sorry, I'm on the wrong one here there. Broken Hill City Council report number 163/23 dated August 14, 23. The council proceeded with the transfer of, oh, that's another one. Go again. Thank you. Right, I'll start again. Broken Hill City Council report number 164/23, subject sale of lots 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 7. Report considers the sale of land is deemed confidential under that section 10A Local Government Act, which provides for information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage. We've brought that back out in open meeting. So the recommendation of the Broken Hill City Council report 164/23 dated August 21, 23 be received. Excuse me. The lots 2 to 7 in DP 1102740 be sold to the current leaseholders, Broken Hill Lifestyle Village. 3, that the general manager be authorised to negotiate a sale price with Broken Hill Lifestyle Village with the current market value as listed within the report as a basis. 4, that council protect its development interest in the land by placing positive covenants on the sale of the land and or stagger the sale of the individual lots based on development progress. 5, that the mayor and the general manager be authorised to sign and apply the common seal of council on necessary documentation to execute the sale.
Do you have a second for that? Councillor Chandler, councillor Hickey, you'd like to speak to that?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Look, Councillor Page obviously didn't read the rest of his minute notes that was put in our last meeting because there was a whole explanation in there. It's a lease. They haven't broken any clauses. You can't take the lease back off them. It's a 50 plus 50-year lease. So 100 years. If they don't break any clause, you can't take it off them. So the council can't sell it to anybody else but to them because no investor is going to buy it as it is. and they're not going to give it up. We've talked to them. They won't give it up. They've said that they want to develop it. They've got plans for 102 places for it. The recommendations is that we put some covenants on it, which is, good common sense. So and we'll put time limits on them within the industry, professional advice from the industry with time limits so that if they break those, then they forfeit their bank guarantee. And we'd have the chance of getting the land back. But I'm of the belief that they won't forfeit it this time. They've got themselves in a better position than what they were. There's nothing more we can do about it anyway, because we can't take it back off them. And that or we just leave it sit there stagnant because if they can't freehold it, they can't mortgage it, they can't sell it off to anyone. Like build houses, but you can't do anything with them. So you need to have it freeholded so that they can subdivide and sell these places off. It's in the best interest of the city. We're going to get 102 extra houses, which we wouldn't get otherwise. Those houses will be a mixture of rentals and saleable houses. Whatever they decide, we can't determine what they actually build on them, provided they fit council's requirements and they fit the Australian standards. So I don't see any reason why we would not go forward and sell the land as is.
Thank you, councillors. Any other councillors? Councillor Brown?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Once again, I've just got a couple of questions and they relate to the first lot of legal advice, I think, from our lawyers about it was a fairly detailed analysis of the original contract, and I was just asking about their advice about 2 of the lots that they said should be exempted from any sale because their water, their water easement or something, and I can't remember the term. That was one, and the other was that one of the conditions of the original lease was that it be used for retirement living only, and then, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, maybe, you know, that's something that could be raised as a comment on their actions to date on this land. So I just wanted a bit of clarification about that.
I'm sure there's no problem addressing it as a matter of comment about the retirement, General Manager. I'm happy to answer if you. So just with it, yes, you're right. You want to talk about the drainage?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just say that, yes, it was made quite clear in the legal documents that council can't sell it to anyone else. They virtually can't also enforce that it be a retirement village. I suppose what we could do, no, I'm just going, no, I know what you, enforce that. What it does mean though, council could hold out and continue to collect the rent, no developments go there. Or we can sell that and they can develop, and part of that thing that's in the motion is to make sure it happens within 12 months or they significantly pay more. I'll pass to the mover of the motion about the sale of the lots that included the drainage.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Yes, Councillor Brown, the drainage would be controlled through council together with the developer, because it's still on his land, but he's still got to do what council requires as far as drainage goes. So those drainage comes from further up, but he would have to adhere. I think I'd be pretty right there, General Manager. Thank you.
Any other councillors? Councillor Turley.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And, you know, I've always supported the development of housing in Broken Hill. And in my time that we had the proposal for down near the Williama High School, I struggle with this one. And I know that it's 109 blocks and we're selling it, it says in the report, which you said we could say, at 350,000. My concern is the past practice that there was no development on there for the Broken Hill Lifestyle Village, which was the expectation of councillors. That we had an expectation that housing stock would be put on there, it would be for the aged, possibly for people with disability, and that never happened. And so we're now moving into a stage where we're saying we're going to sell this block off with the potential for 100 and something properties. This developer will have to put in the sewage, put in the electricity, put in the roads, and there's no guarantee that next week it'll be sold on.
There's a guarantee of
250,000. Is that correct?
So if someone's willing to do that, then whoever's taken it off of them are certainly talking about developing it.
Well, we hope so. I've just heard of some.
Do you have an alternative motion, Councillor?
I don't.
Turley.
I don't.
So the choice is
actually speaking. So if that's okay,
oh
if
yeah,
I could
continue.
just continue. So I don't have an alternate motion. I just need to express my concern on behalf of our community that it is a tricky situation. Originally it was for aged care. I know why Councillor Page was so invested in this, because it was his vision, and yet we never seen that development. Here we are, potentially we might see, as we've seen, and I think Councillor Hickey has pointed out, we've seen developments before just overturn like that, and the community misses out. So I'm cautious, extremely cautious about this. I don't have an alternate motion for you though, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Like I'd say most councillors in this room, and especially the two councillors here, have tried to free up that land and get it for council over the last 18 months to no avail. We have two choices here. The choice is that we sell it and hope that they, because they've got it for 100 years regardless. So we continue to lease it at 100 years, they do nothing, which they've guaranteed that's what they're going to do, or we sell it and get $600,000 for the community if they don't do anything and it sits there. And then we can actually look at freeing up land with the Crown Lands to start council's own development, which there is areas around Broken Hill that could be used that are subject to Crown Lands, but council has been in negotiation with Crown Lands to try and free up that land and use that money to try and start a development that would include affordable housing for senior citizens, etc. The reality is their lease agreement can't be broken. Their lease agreement means that they control that land for the next 100 years. And what's disappointing for me that the lease was signed by a council 10 odd years ago, which put this council in the situation where there is a lease that can't be broken. It goes back to 2005 when it was McDonald's and Associates. And if everyone remembers at the time, we were even talking, there was talk of giving them Riverford Arboretum. So we could imagine where we're sitting now if there was a piece of land at Riverford Arboretum, if that had happened. It didn't happen. What happened was the council said, no, you're not having that, but went through and attempted to free up Excelsior Oval and freed that up. So that was in 2005 with McDonald's as associates, which are the same people. So this all goes back to councils, consecutive councils, not ensuring something is done. This council doesn't want to be another council that sits here and we're in 10 years' time with a piece of land there with nothing on it. It's all right for example, Councillor Page to say that he's got a development, he'll get funding from the federal government. Yeah, well, every place in Australia wants funding from the federal government. We had Rose Jackson, the Minister of Housing for New South Wales, meet her secretary meet with council only a week or two ago, and he said that Rose Jackson cannot get $1 for sociable or affordable housing in New South Wales. But we have this pie in the sky plan that one councillor can go and get the money from the federal government to do this vast investment. It'd be great if that could happen. It's not going to happen. We were promised a plan. It's not here. Rose Jackson, the Minister for Housing, made it clear that she cannot get any money out of the state government and there's no money coming from the federal government. They are in deficits of hundreds of billions of dollars. That's how far they're behind. They're talking about getting their finances right. What happens in Broken Hill is something that we as a council are going to have to do. It's something that we're going to have to drive ourselves. And if that means taking a risk by selling that with the promise that they're going to do it in 12 months with a clause in there that if they don't do it, they're significantly fined by this council. That's all we can do. The only other thing we can do is sit here and allow it to sit there. And in 10 years' time, we'll be saying, oh, nothing's happened with that land yet. And the council, 3 terms' time, will be saying what happened with that council in 2023, the same as the council in 2013 and the council of 2005. So there are our options. If no councillor has an alternative to that, then I don't see any way forward other than what Councillor Hickey moved. Any other speakers? Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I mean, point 4 with the council's protects its development interests by placing positive covenants on the sale. That's the important one. I mean, I've read through the agreement several times. As Deputy Mayor Hickey said, there's really no way out of it. They haven't broken anything. With that point 4, with the positive covenants, that certainly gives me confidence. I've just got one question through you, Mayor Kennedy, to Deputy Mayor Hickey. If that land was unsold, would that covenants remain as part of the sale of that land?
Councillor Hickey.
I wouldn't believe so. I believe that if they unsold it, then we get that money immediately. That covenant, it's a bank guarantee that they do that, not somebody else, so that they do it. And just while I'm on that, Councillor Brown alluded to the solicitor's advice, and I read that pretty carefully, all that solicitor's advice, and we've adhered to each of the suggestions that the solicitor set out in that, except for one paragraph that says to ensure that no councillor or staff have any risk of a conflict of interest in that legal advice. And yet here we are with councillor Page. That's about the only thing that come
Councillor.
up.
To councillors to ask of conflicts of interest from other councillors.
That is correct, councillor Turley. You are councillor, it's up to councillors to declare their own pecuniary interest, but you can make it known that you have concern and document it. Yeah. Any other speakers? All those in favour? In favour, councillor Gallagher, councillor Boland, councillor Allgate, councillor Jewett, councillor Chandler, councillor Hickey and Mayor Kennedy. Against, councillor Page, councillor Turley and councillor Brown. The motion is carried. We move on to item 18, the public forum session. This is a second public forum session. Last 15 minutes, it will consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were considered by the council at this meeting. Do we have any speakers? No. We move on to confidential matters. There is 4 confidential matters. They'll probably take about 10 minutes if people want to remain to hear what they were. Councillor, General Manager.
Yeah, I move a motion that we go into confidential.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Gallagher. All in favour? Carried unanimously.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Council's confidential items. Item 2, mayoral minute number 1423 dated August 18, 2023. General Manager's Performance Review 2022-2023. 1, that mayoral minute number 14/23 dated August 18, 2023 be received. 2, that council note the view of the GM Performance Review Panel that General Manager Jane Enkel has performed at a very high level in the second year of his contract of employment as General Manager of Broken Hill City Council, and congratulates him on the performance and his leadership of the staff, and encourages him to continue the progress made in the organisation and in his personal development to ensure the council's continued financial sustainability. The 5 priorities for the following year are listed as A, delivery of stage 1 of the airport master plan, B, library and archives project, C, financial sustainability, continue to balance the budget and deliver the asset management plans of building and structures, parks and open spaces, roads and footpaths. D, trainees and apprentices, focus on the council growing its own staff to boost capacity to deliver streetscape improvements, including footpath, weed removal and dead tree removal in particular, with additional funding and recruitment required, and success to be measured by the change in employment profile, 5% of workforce trainees, cadets, apprentices, and observable streetscape improvements. E, organisational culture, continued improvements in culture to be pursued as measured by retention rates and reduction in staff turnover. 3, that the 5 priorities for 2023-24 listed in the mayoral minute be adopted and included in the General Manager's Performance Agreement for 2023-24, and the General Manager would develop an action plan for submission to the Mayor and Deputy Mayor to outline the actions to be taken to address the 5 priorities. The progress can be reviewed in February 2024. 4, that the General Manager's total remuneration package be increased by 3.5% to recognise his high performance, and a week of special leave be granted to enable the General Manager to visit a high-performing council within Australia to bring back ideas which would be of benefit to the Broken Hill community. 5, the General Manager be congratulated. Thanks, Mayor and councillors. Item 3, Broken Hill City Council Report number 149/23, subject 10-23/1, supply of 1 bitumen sprayer. Council resolved 1, that Broken Hill City Council Report number 149/23 dated August 10, 2023 be received. 2, that council purchased the plant package tendered by Matthews Brothers Engineering for the total price of $655,492.20, including GST. 3, that council proceed to public auction to dispose of council's current bitumen sprayer fleet number 2300, and if unsuccessful, proceed to sale for scrap. And item 4, Broken Hill City Council Report number 163/23, subject acquisition of land, rates assessment 36970. Council resolved 1, that Broken Hill City Council Report number 163/23 dated August 14, 2023 be received. 2, that council proceed with the transfer assessment 36970 101 Cornish Lane into council's possession in accordance with sections 570 of the Local Government Act 1993. 3, the council write off outstanding rates on the property of $4,688.78 with an upper limit of $5,000 to allow for any additional interest and costs yet to be attributed and finalised. 4, the council delegate authority to the general manager to sign documents required to complete the transfer. 5, the council pay conveyancing costs to complete the transfer. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate the general manager on the report, on his performance report. And this is for the gallery and for those that are here, the media, and those on Skype. It's a above average report on the general manager. He's doing a fantastic job for our city, and I think he deserves great congratulations from our city. Thank you.
That brings the council to a conclusion. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to make comment. Well done, Mr. General Manager. You're doing an excellent job. And
I will reopen the meeting for a second. Councillor Page.
no, you're right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.